The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Yo, Trevor, how did the Oilers allow us to sign Kevin Lankinen? Maybe because they were too busy hiring Stan Bowman, right? Like, what are you guys doing?
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to Stan Bowman, and thanks to you for joining us on this episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks and also a Canucks writer currently with a Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we dive into today's episode, we got to thank you, baby, for tuning into Locked On Canucks. You know why? Because it is your Canucks every damn day. We're part of that Locked On Podcast Network. They're doing the most for sports fans across this world. And for our show, if you haven't done so already, what are you waiting for? Make sure you go subscribe and like this video on YouTube, and on the podcast side, go follow us and leave a good old 5-star review. And for those of you who have left a review, we see them. We appreciate the hell out of you, okay? Because we're not here without you. And we're also not here without the sponsors. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Kyle, I just got to say something, man. The NHL, they messed up, man. Really. Because Kevin Lankinen was a free agent just 31 days ago. This guy was on the unemployment line looking for work, and now he is the starting netminder for a team, again, with Stanley Cup aspirations. How in the hell did the NHL let this happen? And what's next for Kevin Lankinen and the Vancouver Canucks? Let's touch on the Lankinen story and why the NHL decided not to sign this guy. Coming up here on Locked On Canucks, we'll also get into the craziest Canucks comeback of all time, because we're going to talk about a dude, and I think some of you might know who we're going to talk about, but I think he's gone through one of the craziest trajectories that I've ever seen in Vancouver Canucks history. And finally, we're going to bring it back, baby. For the first time this season, the GOATs of the week. Let's go, baby. Before we do all of that, let me introduce my co-host. He loves GOATs. Kyle Bowen. How's it going, brother?
I'm doing good, man. One love to you and you and you and you and Kurt Richardson and Trevor Beggs and Man Oh Man, Locked On Canucks, doing its thing again, because it's your team all the time over here at the Don't Doze Art Lab, and again at the Locked On Podcast Network. We're just so addicted to everything Vancouver Canucks. And man, oh man, I meant it off the top, okay? How did the Oilers allow the Canucks to sign Lankinen? How did any team in the West or the Pacific allow the Canucks to sign Lankinen? That's how it's looking early on, because he's looking like he's the best goalie in hockey. Oh, it's irrational season. Yeah, I know. It's early on. We played 1.5 games. But he's looking damn good. Straight up, I feel as if he's played 9 straight periods of remarkable hockey. And remarkable is not an understatement. Trevor Beggs, how did this happen? And how did you not shut me up after, spending a lot of time during the Lankinen era in September defending Shelovs and demanding that Shelovs has to be the guy, and that Shelovs couldn't lose his job to the backup of the team that Shelovs beat in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? In Nashville. So all in all, Lankinen, man, he's the guy.
Kevin Lankinen might end up being the best pickup in free agency this offseason, which says something for a guy who, again, signed with this team 31 days ago. And it's crazy to think that, to backtrack on the story a little bit, this guy obviously was available on July 1st as a free agent. Reports from his camp were that he wanted, $2 million a season, right? And obviously he did not get that, signing a 1-year, $875,000 deal with your Vancouver Canucks. And across the NHL, we saw other backup goalies, not make $2 million, but guys that were better than Kevin Lankinen get multi-year term deals. And I think case in point was Casey DeSmith of the Dallas Stars, who had a good first start with Dallas, but he got a 3-year deal worth $1 million a season. And, good for Casey DeSmith, but hey, he's not as good as Kevin Lankinen.
Oh,
it's interesting too, in an offseason where the cap went up $4 million, that you had this hesitancy to spend on the backup position in an NHL where you consistently and you're more and more needing your backup goaltender to play 30 to 35 games. And, you look at the goalie nerd stats and all that stuff. You hear Kevin Woodley and Clearset Analytics talking But Kevin Lankinen, just in general, you can look at even strength save percentage, was one of the best goaltenders at even strength in the NHL last season. And I think the only knock on him was that he just wasn't playing as much as your average backup because he was in Nashville playing behind UC Saros, who, by the way, has led the NHL in starts over the past 2 seasons. And by the way, Kevin Lankinen actually had better even strength save percentage numbers than UC Saros as well. So people might have been scared about the small sample size, but this looked like a guy who was ready to pop, and he's done so. Popping. What did they say to the comments here? Lankinen is spanking him, and he's doing it for your Vancouver Canucks.
Damn, yo, you're excited, man. You're excited. You enjoy this guy. You love this guy. I feel as if you speak for every single Vancouver Canucks fan. Hey, you might be speaking for every single Nashville Predators fan too. I mean, this is the team that signed Marcia Show and Stamkos and blah 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 and Brady Shea, and they spent like $76 million in signing bonuses in day one. That's not true, but you know what I'm saying? They spent a lot of money. And they didn't spend money on bringing back Kevin Lankinen. They wanted Scott Wedgwood. And I know he's only played one game for Nashville, but they're 0-5. So Nashville is definitely regretting this decision too. And I've been listening to a lot of everything Kevin Woodley on the Vancouver side of things. And he's been in love with Lankinen before Lankinen was blue and green and red, black, and yellow and orange. And there's this small chance, aka maybe a big chance, behind Tocchet in the system and also behind the heart of Kevin Lankinen, right? This is UFA Lankinen, a lot to prove. Maybe there's a chance that what's Canucks fans and delusional Canucks fans and realistic Canucks fans were hoping that Shelovs would do, and that's replace Demko and his stats and his energy and his aura. Maybe Lankinen can do that. And I think he's turning into... And I know this is super early, but you're starting to see it, like the injuries piled up and just, different things with the Canucks. A lot of moving parts. This team is the Vancouver blender. Real talk, through 5 games. They really are. Everything's been changing, it's quite remarkable. And I feel as if Lankinen or Shelovs, because Shelovs played well against Tampa Bay, like the need for goaltending to be the glue for this team with 56 new players to get it together and have a good start is so important and so vital. And more importantly, possible, man.
Yeah. And again, it's a feel-good story early in the season because, I don't think you and I were that worried about the Canucks goaltending between Shelovs and Lankinen. And Kyle, give yourself some credit here. As much as you were saying, you got to start Shelovs and blah, blah, blah. I mean, look, Shelovs deserved to get the first start of the season. I don't think anyone's arguing against that.
Of course.
To go into the season with Shelovs and Patera was a very scary proposition, especially for a team, again, with the Stanley Cup aspirations that the Canucks have. So I think we all felt better when Lankinen was signed and you're in a position where these guys can, compete and battle with each other. And again, Shelovs is going to get the net again at some point here, but Kevin Lankinen certainly deserves to get a better run here as a starter, maybe starting, 2 out of every 3 games or something like that.
He's going to get it.
I'm going to play a bit of devil's advocate here because the flip side to the equation is, the Flyers did hit 4 posts against the Canucks on Saturday. This narrative could be very different if a couple of those go in, right? I know the Canucks still would probably win the game. Lankinen would still be 2-0-1, but we're not talking about a goaltender with the best even strength save percentage in the NHL. Because right now, look, Kevin Lankinen has a 970 save percentage at even strength. That leads the entire NHL. And I know we're early in the season, but again, pretty much if we're an overreaction season, which we still are, Kevin Lankinen is winning the Vezina, baby. Let's go.
Man, look at you sounding like Leon Draisaitl, man. Giving credit to the posts and not the goaltending coach or Lankinen or, Alvin and Rutherford for staying super patient and unreluctant to walk away from Lankinen, even though the negotiations were either constant or unappealing for Lankinen. And at the end of the day, they still get it done for league minimum. Straight up. And the league minimum talk, right? We got to do this because I know Trevor's a hockey nerd, but that makes Lankinen super valuable, And let's just say, right? Theoretically speaking, maybe even realistically speaking, because Shelovs is good. What if that Calgary game was Shelovs' only really bad start during the first half of the season? What if he picks it up and he's still really good and both these goalers are playing really good and Demko comes back and the Canucks are missing still a piece in their bottom 4 in defense or just in general? Like, could Lankinen become a trade bait to acquire draft picks that you just, then turn into something else, a part of a bigger package? asset management, right? It's a thing. What are your thoughts on that? Because I've seen a lot of comments about this over the last couple of days.
It's a luxury for the Canucks right now. And look, I'm convinced that the Canucks are going to acquire another defenseman before the trade deadline is up. So look, they're in a position of strength, right? You got a young goalie in Shilovs who's got a ton of potential. If Lankinen, he's not going to keep it up at this rate, but if it can be even an above average goaltender, and look, I think there's a chance that he's, a better backup than a lot of backups in the NHL, but he might even be a better starter than some of the team starters right now. I'm thinking specifically of a team like, maybe the Columbus Blue Jackets, Calgary Flames, some of the bottom.
Or the Oilers. Just say the Oilers, man.
Or the Edmonton Oilers, baby. Let's switch the thumbnail for the YouTube videos, man. The Edmonton Losers, as we like to call it here on Locked On Canucks.
No, straight up. Straight up, man. I feel as if teams like that didn't do their due diligence possibly in, scouting a guy like Kevin Lankinen, who, again, Kevin Woodley is comparing to, like, and I'm paraphrasing here, I really am, but like the next Patrick Waugh, right? But allowing the Canucks to not have to like really bring in a Patera or like a Dylan Ferguson to really be the backup, right? I think as a competitor in the league that's, again, not rooting for the Vancouver Canucks, you're kind of mad at your team for not taking away such a crucial part to the success of the Vancouver Canucks. Again, we keep bringing it up, right? Like the Canucks are, in our eyes, a contender, and that has a lot to do with like the bias and the belief and the hope and the dream, right? Like we're all so addicted to this team, and we're just crazy mother effers with a little bit of success. Like a little hit of it is enough to make us think we got this. A team that's never had it, we think we're already going to get it. This team's been good for 10 seconds, and this team ultimately to still instill this environment where a winning culture can actually be here, for this team to win now. Goaltending was so crucial. Like Quinn Hughes aside, JT Miller aside, Pettersson aside, Besser aside, DeBrusk aside, like, dude, teams like this who are early on in their trajectory towards, again, establishing the fact that they're winners need good goaltending. And I feel as if there was like right before the preseason, like the minute before the preseason started, Lankinen was still available. And the Canucks who lost Demko got him. And statistically speaking, like the fancy stats tells you, like all it took was a couple Google searches to tell you that, this guy's actually pretty good. He's better than Scott Wedgwood. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he might be as good as Laurent Bressoit. You know what I'm saying? Shout out the West Coast. You get what I'm saying? And that didn't happen. And Vancouver, who had Demko and Shilovs, almost had Shilovs and Patera, but they got Lankinen, and it's kind of like, damn, for $900,000, nobody else could have done this. The Nashville Predators can have kept them. It's like people are punching themselves in the face, man.
Yeah, and I think the important thing to remember is that, again, based on reports, Lankinen was chasing around $2 million of free agency and settled on less to play for a good Vancouver Canucks team, right? So, for the guys who signed at $1 million-ish or more, you probably weren't getting Lankinen at that price on July 1st, right? Because, like some of the goalies out there, right? Like you said, Laurent Bressoit is a big one because he got $3.3 million a season from the Chicago Blackhawks. Again, there's other guys like James Reimer, Capo Kakinen, who signed close to $1 million. Ilya Samsonov, who was not good in Toronto, did sign a deal paying him $1.8 million to play with the Vegas Golden Knights. And he's got more starters experience than Lankinen, but I think adjusted numbers and in terms of the underlying data, Lankinen's a better goaltender than Samsonov. And then finally, like you mentioned, Scott Wedgwood. For him to sign a 2-year deal paying him $1.5 million in Nashville, it is crazy that the Predators didn't buck up and just decide to pay Kevin Lankinen a bit more money to play with his Finnish buddy UC Saros. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about.
It is crazy. And how good would Lankinen look in Vegas? And man, oh man, talk about taking a hit of the Vancouver Canuck drug. Like we loading that thing up in the bowl and just creating an inferno, okay? Because here we are gassing up Kevin Lankinen like he's the biggest NHL, like the NHL's biggest mistake, letting the Canucks get him. When two of his 3 quality starts came against the Philadelphia Flyers. Look at that roster, bro. You know what I'm saying? Unbelievable, man. Look at this, man. I love it, man. And winning fixes everything, Begsy. And I'm fixed.
He also had a hell of a game outdueling Sergei Bobrovsky against the Florida Panthers. So let's give Lankinen a bit of credit there as well.
Hit him with the shoulders. Lankinen, we ain't lacking in net.
All right. More good times to hear on Locked On Canucks. We'll be back on the other side talking about Never mind the NHL's biggest mistake. This is the NHL's craziest comeback of all time, okay? Again, we're taking a hit of that Vancouver Canucks drug right there. You continue to do the same and meet us on the other side after we shout out our friends over at Indeed. Man, oh man, okay? If you're looking for a job, there's no other place you should go aside from Indeed. And if you're an employer, you need to use Indeed because they are your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data. And they got a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch that busy work and use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree that Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. And one of the things I love about Indeed, man, is they make other job sites look not fast because they're so fast, baby. And Indeed, they leverage over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day. So their matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences. So the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Listeners of the show, guess what? You'll get a $75 sponsored job credit. Wow. To get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this very podcast. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks. And that's, again, taking a hit of this 2-hit win streak, right? And feeling gassed up. Dude, I'm excited, man. Straight up. I already forgot about being winless in 3 games. We good. We're one of the best teams in hockey. We picked up points in 80% of our games. The Vancouver Canucks, that culture, that winning culture, that being taken serious culture is back. And again, that's what happens when winning fixes everything. Hey, that's what happens when confidence fixes everything. And Trevor, man, I saw one of those comments, man. I think it was Andrew saying that Shelov's long game needs work. Okay. And speaking of long game, man, I brought it on Friday, man. 27 minutes. 27 minutes. Time on attack. Similar to the time that Tyler Myers had against Philadelphia. 22 minutes led the Canucks in ice time. And that's good news for Quinn Hughes, right? You're up 3-0. Boom, bam. You're getting cross-checked by Travis Konechny. Yeah, just sit down. We don't need you playing anymore. But there was Tyler Myers not only playing a lot, but I feel as if that was the moment. It only took 1,000 games, but Kyle Bowen is a Tyler Myers fan.
Kyle, first and foremost, kudos to you, man. Matt, what are you saying? 27 minutes time on attack, man?
31 and a half years old. 31 and a half years old. And I still got it. And it's because I'm reading books, okay? Quinn Hughes changing lives. Kevin Lankinen changing lives. Join the book club. Join the Discord, link in the bio, okay? And read this book that's in my hand, The Business of Winning, Building Winning Teams, Chapter 6 on Jim Rutherford. Boom, bam. Tyler Myers, Jim Rutherford, they got a connection. Jim Rutherford said, hey, we don't need Nikita Zadorov. We need 3 more years of Tyler Myers. Bring him back. He's good, and the boys love him. Give him whatever he wants. And man, oh man, Tyler Myers, man. How did he do it, man? How did he become Kyle Bowen's favorite player?
I think we all have a good redemption story, right? And, Tyler Myers, I think from the moment he signed with the Vancouver Canucks was not a beloved figure, mainly because we all knew at the time, or I think at least most of us knew at the time, that when you sign this guy to a 5-year deal, paying him $6 million per season, that there was questions if he was even a top 4 defenseman, and the Canucks were paying him like the top dog. It was a flawed contract from the minute it was signed, most like all the other big contracts signed by Jim Benning. And Travis Green signed off on that one too. Travis Green was a big fan of Tyler Myers. And look, I think that, again, I've said this before, and every day is no, it's weird that in a way that we know what all these guys make, right? That wasn't the case, 20, 30 years ago. But with Tyler Myers, look, he was never going to live up to that contract that put him behind the 8 ball. And you couple that with the game that was in sharp decline through years, 2 through 4 of that contract, before he finally got a reset. And I think the coaching staff that he really needed to bring out his A game in Rick Tocchet and Adam Foote, because man, oh man, this guy was, as we know, a chaotic mess for most of his tenure in Vancouver. But again, like, you just start to know this guy's story more, and you obviously appreciate it more because you've seen a better side of Tyler Myers here in Vancouver. But, even me, I was reminded over the weekend about Tyler Myers and the story with his son, and apologies, I might not get it verbatim, but basically his son was born premature because he had like fluid buildup in his lungs, and they couldn't hold him for weeks. He was in the hospital for a couple months, I believe. I think he even had some like speech development delay, but he ended up surviving this catastrophic event. And his 7-year-old son apparently read the lineup card on video before the game against Philly on Saturday. And Myers talked about, tears being in his eyes and the emotion there. Everything you hear from guys like, Brock Besser, JT Miller is like, Tyler Myers is just one of the best dudes on the team. And I've gotten that sense from even being in the locker room from time to time. Like Tyler Myers is one of those guys who's always willing to kind of stick around and answer questions after a game. Obviously just, has a good attitude, a good head on his shoulders. So he's an easy guy to like once you get aside from the chaotic nature in his game that has been there in the past. Because I think Tyler Myers, and this is the case for a lot of things in life, you want to have the right people on the right seats in the bus, right? And Tyler Myers, I think, is finally on the right seat for the Vancouver Canucks.
Oh, yeah. He is, man. And it's a beautiful story about his son and getting that type of honor, being read out by your son is just like that. That's what life's all about. And man, Trevor, what are you going to do for your son, man? Come on. What are you going to do that's going to make him so proud? 1,000 games, 1,000 podcasts. Does he know you already banged that out? We're already 1,000 podcasts in, bro. Straight up. Unbelievable, man. Like when I see things like that, I get inspired not to be a dad in like 7 years. Be safe. Where am I going with this? Oh yeah, Tyler Myers, man. Okay, so again, I'm liking his game. I'm actually the whole game part that's a bit of an overstatement. Okay, and he alluded to this too, right? And I think the whole team kind of went to sleep after they were up 3-0. Like their mind was already set on the nightclub that they were going to hit up to celebrate Tyler Myers' 1,000th game. Okay, in Philadelphia. Again, could you see Quinn Hughes in a Philadelphia nightclub? Exactly. He's still not the perfect defenseman, okay? But as you alluded to, he gets paid a lot less, and maybe that's why the connection to him in my heart is a lot more clear. He's still looking like a $3 million defenseman. Again, not the perfect defenseman, and more notably, somebody that I actually can't wait to see on our bottom pairing. Like, and an emphasis on can't wait, because he is somebody that obviously with less, you get more out of. Again, Myers alluded to the fact that he was sloppy in the third period, right? That's part of his game every now and then, especially when he hits the ice a lot. And I think that there's a chance that, how we got the best out of him last season based on a smaller role. I think he can improve on that this year, which is crazy to say based on his age. But if less is more with Tyler Myers and he finds a home in our third pairing, man, oh man, I think the Canucks go from kind of like, damn, our bottom four defensemen this is sad, to like, oh no, this is really good. Am I crazy to say that?
No, I don't think so. And again, I think, we're obviously giving Tyler Myers his flowers here, but yeah, he's an imperfect player. And, but I don't want to go too much into his flaws right now. Come on. It's the guy who just hit his 1,000th game.
What? No, dude, come on, man. It's okay. It's okay. Like he said it himself. Like he did not like his third period, and it's the inconsistencies in being able to get the puck out when he's on the ice sometimes, and the chaotic behavior. Like he looks like a deer. What's the term? What's that good old Canadian saying? A deer with the headlights turned. Deer in the headlights. You look like a deer in the headlights sometimes, man. Tyler Myers, he's still that player, but he's making $3 million, and it's easier for us to digest. And it's also way easier when we start to learn more about, again, him being a glue guy. And Rick Tocchet told, everyone that, hey, sometimes I rip into the team. And who's the guy to bring everyone back together? It's Tyler Myers. It's not Quinn Hughes. It's not Elias Pettersson. Who did I say? It's not Elias Pettersson. It's Tyler Myers.
It's Tyler Myers and Teddy Gluger, baby. Look, I'm curious to see Soucy and Myers play some games against better teams. I think they weren't great in the Florida game. Obviously, I think everyone was good in the Philadelphia game for the most part. That Philadelphia team did not look good at all against the Canucks. And look, the Canucks have a bit of an easiest schedule coming up over the next 2 games, or at least this week, right? You play the Chicago Blackhawks, who are better, but they're still a bottom feeder. And then you got the Pittsburgh Penguins at home on Saturday after 3 days of rest. And they're going to be playing a Penguins team who's on the second night of back-to-backs. The Penguins play Edmonton the night before. So let's see what this defense can do later on in this campaign. Maybe some tougher tests against the Hurricanes and Devils later on in October and early November. Kyle, man, oh man, we're 25 minutes in. We still got to take another break. We got to get back to Goats of the Week, baby, okay? One of my favorite segments from last year. We'll bring that back on the other side after we shout out our friends over at FanDuel. All right, you know the deal, babe. It's a great time of year. NFL and NHL, they're on. MLB, the World Series is taking place. For those who care about that, it is a biggie. Whatever you're betting on, you can start the season or end the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place those bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. For tomorrow, the Vancouver Canucks face Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks. Future Canuck Connor Bedard. And the Canucks right now, of course, they're favorites on the money line, -170. But if you believe that the Canucks will win by at least 2 goals, you can get a payout of +146. So a little bit of value there if you're believing on the boys in blue and green to win by at least 2 goals. Whatever you're betting on, make sure you go do it on FanDuel.com.
One love to FanDuel. Dun, 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 dun. People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks, Kyle Bound, Trevor Beggs, the Locked On Podcast Network, the Don't Doze Art Lab, boom, bam. Hit the like button. It really does help us a lot. As Cashman is saying in the comments, it's Christmas around the corner. I've been saying that for days and days and days. And who ended up being right again, Trevor? Who ended up being right? You looked at me crazy when I kept saying it, and boom, look what's happening. It's Christmas tomorrow. Hit the like button. It really helps us out. Trevor's about to go through his Goats of the Week. On that note, hit the link in the bio. I gave out my grades of the week, too, in my my blog called Extra Extra. We're selling T-shirts. We're writing about the Canucks. We're reading about the Canucks because reading is important. And like Trevor's about to do, we're also giving grades out to the Vancouver Canucks in some way, shape, or form. It's the return of Goats of the Week.
Oh, nothing tickles my pickle more than a bunch of goats in my ear, man. Let's go. So for those who maybe weren't around last season, Goats of the Week was a segment we ran every Monday where we ranked the goats for the Canucks over the past week of games. Now, usually we do the top 5 of the week, and the way I rank it throughout the season is first place gets 5 points, second place gets 4, so on and so forth, and then we have our yearly goats at the end of the year. This week, because we had a week and a half of hockey, I'm cheating a bit, and I'm adding 8 slots, okay? To kind of make up for, again, a week and a half of hockey as opposed to 1 week. As a reminder from last season, Miller was the GOAT of the year with 52 points, Hughes with 44, way ahead of Pettersson, Demko, and Besser, who rounded out the top 5, which is, again, it's interesting to look at how the Canucks perform on a week-to-week basis. Because I think, Kyle, you and I would probably say, and most fans would say that Hughes was the GOAT last year, the MVP of the Canucks. But based on the week-to-week statistics, we had JT Miller as the GOAT of the year. But let's kick it off, baby. And I'm going to start with number 8 on the list. And that is, come on, man. Got to give this guy's love, man. Tyler Myers, baby. Tyler Myers, okay? Biggest redemption story in Canucks history. And come on, man. With the play of the year so far, the backhand between the legs to Brock Besser, boom, bam. We're talking about getting stiff, man. That made me stiff right there. And 7th, I have Nils Höglander, okay? A couple bingos to start the season. And again, he's looking more and more like a top 6 player for your Vancouver Canucks. At number 6, I have Kiefer Sherwood. Kiefer the Reefer. Come on, baby. It's 420 somewhere. And Kiefer, again, one of the league leaders in hits, gets his first goal. 5 shots against Philly on Saturday. The guy has been shot out of a cannon to start the season. And it starts making you think about a potential third line moving forward. Maybe like a Joshua Bluger and Sherwood. That could have some juice to it if Garland and Höglander.
Oh, this guy's calling Kiefer Sherwood the next Connor Garland. You heard it here first, man. Holy, you're smoking that Kiefer, man.
I love that Kiefer, baby. Okay, that was number 6. And number 5, I have Teddy Bluger. Teddy Gluger. The guy had, 1 goal in 43 games to end last season. He's already got 2 goals to start this season. Got a scrapper there. Teddy Bluger, I think, has been one of the most consistent Canucks on a night-to-night basis. I mean, when I was at the Philly game, the second game of the season, it was the Teddy Bluger line getting more minutes than the Pettersson line, and deservedly so. Teddy Blueger also staple on the penalty kill. Really liked his game to start the season. Number 4, I have Brock Besser, currently leading the Canucks in points with 3 goals in 5 games, 5 points as well, and even taking some faceoffs with JT Miller banged up against Philly on Saturday. And number 3, got Connor Garland, okay? I would say that he's been the best Canuck forward to start that season, and I don't think that is a bold take. Connor Garland just buzzing out there right now in points in almost every game so the Canucks season. 2 goals, 4 points in 5 games. Number 2, I have Kevin Lankinen. We talked about him ad nauseum so far. A .953 save percentage and a 2-0-1 record to begin the season. And a number 1, man, come on, Quinn Hughes. He's been the best Canuck. That's not a controversial take. The guy's absolutely flying out there to start the season and looking like he's on pace to win another Norris and maybe a 100-point season as well.
Wow. Those were Trevor's goats of the week. So much to dissect there. Again, I got my grades of the week in the link in the bio. We got to do the balance here. You got to listen and read at the same time. It is what it is. And as SK93 is saying, Brandstrom was robbed. Dude, I gave Brandstrom an A- in my grades, okay? For real. My grades were smoking that West Coast bias. And, dude, where was Pedersen on this list, man? Trevor Beggs, bro. Did you not hear what Elliot Friedman said today? Okay, Elliot Friedman. We need a separate segment, man, with like some devil music and some devil horns for Elliot Friedman, man. This guy's just boom, bam. Let's see how to stir the pot, okay? Elliot Friedman talking about how he believes, and this is something Trevor Beggs was saying. This is something that the two other voices that we heard were saying the same thing. Okay, we got a source telling us the same. These 3 people, now 4 people, telling us that Elias Pettersson, man, he listens and watches everything. Straight up, that's what happens when you're on your phone a lot. And that's if Friedman's saying that now. And Trevor, it's not about you, okay? It's about the Vancouver Canucks, okay? You don't have to get off your opinions. You don't have to speak from the heart. We got to look after our neighbors, aka the players that are playing in blue and green. Pettersson's watching this, and you should have given him the number 4 spot because you believe in effort and you love effort, and it's all about the little wins. You can't climb up the ladder when you don't have your shoes on. You ever hear that quote? You can't climb up the ladder with 2 left feet. And you could have made the right move by, patting Pettersson on the back, giving him a vote for goat of the week. Now, what's wrong with you?
Look, man, as much as what was the old quote? I'm not here to pump Elias Pettersson's tires. Look, it would be to my benefit. I see what you're saying. Give the guy some love, give him the confidence, blah, blah, blah. But I am here to tell you who I think the best Canucks were of the past week. And look, JT Miller and Elias Pettersson both were not on that list, man. Both of them, I think, had their struggles. I know JT Miller was looking pretty sharp when he played against the Calgary Flames. But again, you get Miller and Pettersson, that dynamic 1-2 punch at center. But, there's some weirdness in October. And right now, Elias Pettersson and JT Miller, I don't think are, 2 of the best 8 Canucks over the past 5 games here.
Unbelievable. Trevor, man, this is why I say you need therapy, man. But sometimes we take it too seriously, bro. Okay? We got to look after our people, man. Anyway, speaking of our people, we barely read the comments, okay? So the comments are flying off, okay? Trevor Beggs has to get to work. We're running out of time here. Maybe I'll drop another episode in a couple hours, okay? Because Miller is questionable for tomorrow. And it's okay because we're playing the AHL Chicago Blackhawks. Well, they're not really the AHL Chicago Blackhawks anymore. But maybe we'll talk about that later in a couple hours, okay? Well, we got to go. We got to go. It is what it is. It is what it is. Look at Mother Nucker saying that Kyle's looking like Steve from Blue's Clues today. Yeah, duh. Come on, man. I love that show. And he was trying to teach the people. And I'm trying to teach the people too. Trevor Beggs is doing the same thing. Read this book, okay? The Business of Building Winning Teams, Chapter 6 on Jim Rutherford. I'm about to be the GM of the Vancouver Canucks, man, in 66 years after Alvin and Rutherford retire. Where am I going with this? I'm going out of here, okay? Hit the link in the bio. Join the Discord. Read the blog. Got the Canuck grades out there. I wrote about Pettersson too. I wrote a letter to Pettersson. A link in the bio. Beggsy, sign us out.
All right, one last bit of news to update you on before we get out of here. And again, as Kyle posted in the comments here on the YouTube live chat, Miller questionable to play against the Chicago Blackhawks in tomorrow night's game. He was out of practice, listed with the maintenance day. So with the new lines at practice, I'm not even going to touch on the lines. Maybe we'll get that tomorrow. But on power play 1, okay, a little bit of a shakeup because Miller's not there. You had Quinn Hughes, Elias Pettersson, Brock Besser, Connor Garland, and our Steve Baines, baby. Let's go. Shout out to the everydayers, occasional listeners,
Hey!
first-time listeners, new subscribers, those of you who join us on the live show on YouTube. We love each and every one of you, wherever you're listening, whenever you're listening. It don't matter. We just appreciate the hell out of you for tuning in to Locked On Canucks. I think we're going to be talking about some line decisions tomorrow for tomorrow's episode, heading into the game against the Chicago Blackhawks. So catch us then. But for now, we got to get out of here. I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Cal Bound, and you've been listening to Locked On Canucks. Sorry, what?
Dude, tomorrow's the biggest day in the city of Surrey's history, man. Unbelievable.